2020 means a whole new year full of albums coming out that I'm excited to hear. I'm going to share with you in this video some of my most anticipated albums of 2020, and we're going to separate them by ones that are confirmed, rumored, and then a couple that I'm just hopeful for. So check it out right after this. Make sure you leave a comment on this video with the albums that you're looking forward to. Add to my list. If I forgot about some, I'd love to hear. So first up, we have Tycho's companion to his album last year, Weather. So Tycho released Weather, his first album with a vocalist on the majority of it, Saint Sinner. I love the record. It made my top 5 of the entire year. But he announced that he's going to do a Weather companion that's more like his traditional Tycho records, expansive, beautiful soundscapes, with the elements that made up Weather, but done in the original Tycho way. I love that because I think all the instrumentals on this record are amazing, and to see them expanded and morphed in the way that only Tycho can, this is going to be an incredible record that, honestly, I think could make my top 10 again if it's that different, and I think it will be. Kid Cudi's releasing his next album, Entergalactic, to coincide with his Netflix animated show release. I don't know a ton about this project. All I know is I have a very soft spot in my heart for Kid Cudi. I'm a huge fan, especially of the Man on the Moon records, but I really like everything he's ever done. I initially blew off Indica and Speeding Bullet to Heaven, but listened to them recently, and I really liked both. Yeah, even Speeding Bullet to Heaven, which is a bizarre record, and there are some kind of strange tracks, but Cudi's infusion of this kind of lo-fi grungy sound with his hip-hop beats and hip-hop aesthetics in general was really interesting, and majority of it was a hit for me. Maybe could have done without those Beavis and Butthead skits, but that's fine. Entergalactic is apparently going to be a lot like Cudi's older records. It's going to be him having fun, rapping from different personas. I'm guessing it's personas from the show, but either way, he's considering this to follow up to Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, which is a great record, his last record, and I'm really excited to see what he brings out. Lana Del Rey's White Hot Forever. I feel like we're still talking about Lana's NFR because it was that good of a record, made my top 10 as you guys saw, but apparently she's ready to just keep the train rolling. I don't think these are just B-sides or demos from the NFR sessions. She makes it seem like this is entirely new material for its own project, and I think she's also doing a spoken word poetry album. Lana is on fire right now, and that last album really put her high up on my radar. Very excited to see if she can follow up how beautiful and somber that album was with something else that's a little different, but still more of those feels. RTJ4 is coming out officially this year. Everyone's been talking about it. LP's been teasing it. I am a huge fan of Run the Jewels. Honestly, Run the Jewels 3 was not my favorite compared to 2 and 1, but I love that album too. They really can't miss. I'm really comparing excellence to greatness in this way. I think RTJ2 is their pinnacle, and RTJ1 is the classic because it got me into them, but I'm really excited to see what they bring for the 4th record. I think they're going to really bring the heat. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of them in the festival circuit this summer. They were already just announced for Coachella, and I'm optimistic that they're going to have some killer features on there, as they always do. I'm hoping for another Zach De La Rocha track. Who knows, but all I know is that we will be running them jewels very soon. And Caribou is releasing Suddenly. Caribou, one of my favorite electronic producers. Dan is an absolute brilliant mastermind when it comes to compositions that are going to be surprising and titillating to the ear. His last album, Our Love, was just a beautiful kind of 80s synthy massage for your head, and everything before that was fairly different as well. The guy really doesn't miss, and I'm excited to hear what his next album has in store. So those are the only totally confirmed ones. After this, I'm going to talk about rumored records. These are all substantiated by either the bands announcing there will be something without anything specific associated with it. I don't know what's going to happen with some of these, but I will let you know that these are ones I'm excited for. Pearl Jam is set to release their follow-up to Lightning Bolt, which I love that record. I love every Pearl Jam record. I think they're just one of the best bands of all time, as you guys know. They really don't miss, and I'm really optimistic that even at the late stage of their career, they're going to put out an album that's socially relevant and super pleasing to the ear. These guys are fantastic. I'm flying to Poland to see them live this summer. I hope by then there's some new songs so I can jam out to them live, but you never know. All I know is that there's been talk. Are they in the studio? Are they out of the studio? And there are some substantiated rumors saying that they're in the studio, if not close to finishing the record. 9 Inch Nails is also saying that they're going to follow up Bad Witch with a full album. I mean, Trent Reznor's been busy with the Watchmen soundtrack, releasing all kinds of great music with Atticus Ross, and doing the Bird Box soundtrack. He has just been all over the place. But 9 Inch Nails, for me, is where Trent really shines, and I'm excited to hear what the next LP has in store, hopefully coinciding with the tour, because they are amazing live. Matt Berninger is releasing Serpentine Prison this year. This is exciting for me because Matt is the lead singer of my favorite band, The National, and a lot large part as to why I love The National is because his vocals are so iconic and majestic, and I just love everything he sings. I think that Serpentine Prison is going to have a lot of unique, interesting features. We already heard a cut that may or may not be on it, Walking on a String with my favorite Phoebe Bridgers, so I don't know what to expect from this album. All I know is that it's almost guaranteed that I'm going to love it. Excitingly, the Avalanches have announced they're releasing their third album, so we didn't have to wait as long as it was between LP1 and LP2, which was, I think, like 12 or 15 years, something absurd. But Wildflower was one of my favorite records when it came out. I believe that year it was my #1 of the year. It is a pastiche of gorgeous sounds, plunderphonics in the finest way, with amazing features on it that kind of separated it sonically from Since I Left You, which was their groundbreaking debut that made everyone know who they were and fall in love with them. No one knows exactly what LP3 is going to have in store. All I know is that they really can't miss. They're absolutely brilliant, and this is definitely at the top of my list of what I'm most excited for this year. Julien Baker is putting out a new album this year as well. Apparently she was putting on the finishing touches at the end of last year. We've gotten a tease of a couple songs here and there. I think there are 2 7-inches containing post-LP2 songs. I love Julien Baker. I listen to her second album all the time, and there's something about her music that's so personal, but so inviting at the same time. She just evokes such sad emotions in such an excellent way. When you're in the mood for it, nothing hits the spot quite like it, so I'm hoping that LP3 will be third time's the charm. Speaking of Julien Baker, her Boy Genius bandmate Phoebe Bridgers is supposed to put out another album this year. Phoebe has been busy since her first debut, Stranger in the Alps. She also did an album with Connor Oberst, Better Oblivion Community Center. Now, this is going to be her second studio album. I think this year it's guaranteed to come out according to sources. So, really stoked to hear the follow-up to one of my favorite albums ever, Stranger in the Alps. And everything she's done between Boy Genius and Better Oblivion Community Center, she's just perfect. She's a perfect artist, and I can't wait to see what she does. Frank Ocean. Now, Frank Ocean may or may not release an album this year. It's speculated he will because he's been releasing a series of 7-inch records on his website. They each have 2 tracks on them. I'm not sure if these are just separate tracks associated with the club nights he's been doing lately, but I'm hoping that they're not on the album because honestly, from hearing them, they weren't as good as Blonde or Channel Orange or any of those gripping tracks from his previous projects. But any more Frank is always welcome. A bad Frank track is still an amazing track in general. No one's sure if he's releasing an album. It's just rumored because he's putting out music that maybe it's going to lead to some kind of cohesive album. We can only hope. The XX is also putting out a record. Apparently they're working on new music, which means that we should be lucky enough to get some this year. I love the XX. Their first record in particular is stellar. The other ones are great. I just think the combination of their vocals with Jamie XX production is wonderful. And I really hear an XX song and say, I don't like this. It's always at least very good. So looking forward to more from the trio. Surprisingly, Black Star is supposed to be releasing an album this year. They've been teasing it for months and months. I even heard about this years ago as a rumor, but both Talib Kweli and Mos Def, or Yasin Bey, however he goes by these days, I can't keep up, they both have said that the album is done, and they listen to it all the time, and it's great. Black Star is one of the best hip-hop albums of the 90s. People listen to it all the time because it has such timeless beats and amazing lyrics. I mean, these are 2 titans of industry coming together. You really can't go wrong with Lil Mos Def and Talib. I don't know if they still have it 20 years later, but I sure hope they do. Childish Gambino is supposed to put out his final album. I know he's done touring, supposedly. I hope not. I've never seen him, and I would love to see him. So, hoping there's at least one more show. I'll pretty much fly anywhere to go see it. That being said, Childish Gambino is one of my all-time favorite artists. I love everything he's ever done. I think he's brilliant. And while I didn't love Awaken My Love, I mean, obviously Redbone is an incredible song, and there's some really good kind of soul vibes, funkadelic style from that record. But my favorite Gambino is when he's rapping and even singing kind of like in an R&B style. Not so much the kind of experimental soul stuff, but This Is America shattered the internet when it came out. That song was not only socially relevant, it was just accompanied with an amazing song and amazing video. Now, there have been some new songs that haven't been on any albums that he was playing at his shows on his last tour, but there's been no official announcement of an album. Here's hoping that we get the final Gambino album and it knocks our socks off. And finally for rumored, and this one isn't publicly rumored, this is kind of a private thing that I might have found out about and haven't seen anyone talk about yet. Kings of Convenience are putting out their new album, I think sometime this year. If you don't know Kings of Convenience, they're a duo that does Simon and Garfunkel-esque beautiful harmonic singer-songwriter stuff with the occasional bossa nova influence. They are one of my favorite acts of all time. I've never seen them live, so I'm hoping a new album means a new tour. That being said, any new material would be amazing because of all 3 of their albums, 4 if you count Versus, their remix album, There isn't anything I dislike, and I love just about every single song they've ever done. So a new Kings of Convenience album would be great. Oh, the reason I know about it is because I bought merch from their store, and I was talking to the merch person, and I said, please tell them to record a new album, and they said they're working on it. Awesome. And then finally, Hopeful. So these are unsubstantiated records, and I'm just hoping maybe we'll get releases this year. I'm going to share them with you right now. The first being Sufjan Stevens. So Sufjan tends to be on a 5-year cycle. He tends to put out random things in between albums like Planetarium, The Decagog, BQE. Things that aren't considered canon albums like Michigan, Illinois, Age of Odds, Swam and Swans, like his big albums. It's been about 5 years since Carrie and Lowell, which is my favorite album of his. And anything he follows it up with, I'm sure I'm going to fall in love with. There has not been an announcement, but I wouldn't put it past Sufjan to randomly just drop the album with no lead up because the world's going to go crazy when he does. Really hoping that this is the year of more Sufjan. Same with Jose Gonzalez. There hasn't been an album in a while. His last full album was Vestiges and Claws. I think that was easily over 5 years ago. He had a live album with the String Theory Orchestra, but that's just reinterpretations of songs he already has. I don't consider that to be a new album for Jose. I am chomping at the bit for more Jose Gonzalez. He is honestly, with Sufjan, up there with my favorite singer-songwriters, folk artists of all time. And I would just be so happy if Jose announced a new album. And finally, we're about overdue for some Kung Fu Kenny. Kendrick Lamar won the world over with Damn. That's no question. Everybody loves that album. It's just so fire. Every track is just chef's kiss. But what I don't love is that Kendrick hasn't released anything since then. Black Panther soundtrack doesn't count. This is gonna be the year where Kendrick needs to bust out his amazing record that he's been hiding from us and just give us his My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's about time. Kendrick is ready in his career. He's put out enough classics where it's time to up the ante and give us something that no one expects. So fingers crossed that we get some new Kendrick Lamar this year. Those are the albums I'm looking forward to this year. Please leave a comment. Let me know what albums I'm forgetting that I should put on my radar. It's going to be a good year for music. I can feel it in my bones. Stick around to see me talk about more music and more records on this channel every week. So make sure you're subscribed. Talk to you guys soon. Take it easy.